Tears at the Foot of the Mount, Part 2. As I prayed today, I continued yesterday's vision. I had already sensed that the earlier vision was just one part of a bigger whole. I was taken back to the foot of the mountain, where the lion, now broken, was weeping. After the voice from heaven had spoken, the lion was now faced with a new conflict. Over his head, I saw an open vision of light and darkness clashing, more like flashes of lightning trying to pierce through thick darkness. That is, I saw it as an open vision in the primary vision I was having. Alongside this open vision were voices speaking to the young lion. On one hand, the voice from heaven from earlier was giving him instructions and directions. On the other hand, he was seeing visions that were countering what the voice from heaven was saying to him. I heard that these visions were the voice of Satan. At a point, I also heard the voice from heaven called the voice of the Father. As this conflict kept going on, I then heard
the voice of faith versus the voice of sight.
The voice from heaven equals the voice of the Father equals the voice of faith. The visions the lion was seeing equals the voice of Satan equals the voice of sight. The voice of sight kept showing him visions to discourage him, whispering the lies that surrendering to God's process would lead only to pain. In one such vision, the lion was shown himself submitting to a veterinary doctor to be treated and healed of the wounds he had hidden beneath the red cape. The doctor was applying a healing balm, which looked like aboniki. It was in fact hot and uncomfortable. Though painful, the balm was healing him. The problem, however, was that what the lion was seeing in the vision was not a doctor, but a taskmaster with a harsh whip, inflicting more pain on him. The vet doctor, wearing a white coat, is what I was shown as the reality of things. But the lion's perception was distorted by the enemy's projections. At this point, I began to realize just how hopeless it was for this lion to depend on the visions he was seeing. One of the strongest tactics of the voice of sight was to bring up old wounds. Voice of sight kept showing him visions of his past, specifically when he was just a young cub and was actually mistreated and abused by a man dressed like an Egyptian taskmaster. He held a whip with metal tips and had been brutalizing him as a cub. As long as he was seeing this vision repeatedly and not intentionally tuning in to listen to the voice of heaven, the unavoidable pain/heat that came from the vet's healing balm was as good as reliving the torture of this taskmaster, a brutal figure who once hurt him deeply. Voice of sight kept twisting the truth.
This vet? He's just another taskmaster. Healing will only bring more pain.
So the lion feared healing, resisting surrender, believing that the soothing balm would only burn like the whip. This strategy of deception was what nearly made the young lion choose the Bridge of Snakes later on. At some point, the voice from heaven, that is, the voice of faith, called out to him,
Come to the river. Come to the river.
Eventually, the lion obeyed and walked away from the mountain toward the river. But as he moved, the voice of sight warned him again through many visions.
If you leave the mountain and go to the river, you lose your place of authority forever.
8th July, 2025. Brother S.E. Gam, watch.